Okay, hello everyone. I am Robert Diaz with Social Endurance, and I'm super excited about this call, this interview with Lyndsay Magre, Director of Marketing over at People's Mortgage Company. Welcome, Lyndsay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Really excited, as we were talking about just a second ago. This is really going to be a lot of fun just because you have a fantastic community engagement program over at People's Mortgage. But the other thing is that you have some really good initiatives that you've done in the past regarding employee wellness. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to share that with everybody. And as we've mentioned in other videos and shared with you, is the whole intent of this call is really to share with corporate social responsibility, people, corporate giving, nonprofits, event companies, the value in partnering with great companies like People's Mortgage, right? People's Mortgage. So for nonprofits and for event companies, there's a tremendous amount of benefit to engage with great companies like yours. But we also know that there's fantastic benefits for the corporation. And that's really what I'm excited about sharing today. So with that, let's just dive right into this. And, can you share with us a little bit more about People's Mortgage Company?
Sure. People's Mortgage was founded back in 1998. That seems like not so long ago, but surprisingly, it's a long time ago. It ages myself, but
right.
But it was really a company built for people. That's hence the name People's Mortgage. It was really, it's both inside the company we care about the people, it's outside the company we care about people. That's how we came up with our name, our motto, all about the people. And so it really encompasses not only the business we do, but how we give back to the community. So it's an all-encompassing motto, all-encompassing, feel around this office. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, and they've been living that motto for, it hasn't changed, in over 20 years. So
that's awesome. I really like that. And I like how the name plays into, I guess, your values, right? The values and the mission of the company. So with that, I guess a follow-up would be regarding, your community engagement and your corporate social responsibility, the inspiration. Where does it come from, from within your company?
It really is our leadership. It's top down. Our leadership believes in it wholeheartedly. They live it. It's not just a talk from them. They're out there doing it. From our CEO to our VPs to everybody's out there living that being all about the people. They for being C-suite executives of a 500-person company, their doors are always open. You can come to them with anything. You can ask them how their day is, how their weekend was, everything like that. Plus, they're giving back to their community. Two of our VPs give back at least probably 40 hours of their month. They're involved in different organizations. They're out there walking that walk. So for us, it makes this place like 10 times better to work for, right? Because that you just see them doing it.
Yeah, I love the answer. And it's also something that we've seen with some of the other videos that we've done. And I guess it seems to be the common denominator when we're talking to corporate partners out there. Those that have really high engagement programs, that do a fantastic job of engaging back in the community, giving back, it seems like that's the answer we're receiving over and over again, that it seems to be, top down, that the senior leadership within the company, has this real drive personally to support it, to help create it, to help be a part of it. And it's absolutely fantastic to see that some of the senior level executives there not only are behind this as an organization, but personally do give back significantly. So one of the things that I found interesting during our research here was the foundation of your philosophy. I had a chance to read a little bit about that. Can you share with us a little bit more about that, the foundation of your philosophy?
Sure. So our official program started a little over, probably about 3.5 years ago. I was actually hired to come in and create an official program. They realized, they were all doing so much from the top down, right? But they didn't have a way to calculate it, didn't have a way to bring it together, they didn't have a way to promote it. Like what could that look like? So I came in about 3.5 years ago to help them kind of lay the foundation for that. And as you'll probably hear me say so often, is we really wanted this to be focused around our employees. How do we, take what they're already doing and just expand on it. So we really came up with 3 pillars of focus that we could do. We wanted to say, invest in the people in our communities. How could we do that? Offer the needed services in our communities, and then restore the environment in our communities. So how can we achieve those 3 pillars? By using our employees and what they're already involved with, right? So hoping that with those 3 pillars, that something that they were already doing was already gonna fit, right? So that way, we didn't have to change too much of what they were doing. We molded our program to fit what they were already doing. So it's kind of where we kind of came with almost the bottom up, right? Like,
yeah,
in that sense.
Yeah, I love that. So again, with that, it's that the employees, I guess, feel very engaged in this program, right? Very engaged. Not only that, but they have a big say in it. Right.
Yeah.
So even though there's tremendous support from the senior level executives there within your organization, the employees at whatever level feel like like what they say is valued there, right? They're not just a number there, right? And they can help contribute to this. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. We want them to definitely feel involved.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So regarding that, can you share with us some of your most, I guess, successful campaigns, events, maybe some ways that you've engaged with nonprofits, in the past where you saw really high engagement? Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, we've done a lot, but one of my favorites and dear to my heart is when we work with a local nonprofit, Eris Foundation. They feed the homeless. They help. It started with homeless teens that had aged out of foster care. They went into a group home, but that group home closed down, so they ended up on the streets. So this foundation started to come in and help those that just suddenly lost, their home, everything, and now how would they cope? And so I started with this lady providing dinner once a week and helping them with laundry and getting some necessary supplies and clothes. And it kind of came to us through one of our employees. She started helping out, and she said, I think this is really a valuable place to help because it's in our backyard of our corporate office. We're in Tempe, and so they help the Tempe district. And honestly, the second you go down, you feel the impact right away. And so it's one of those, I always say that, like, if you can really feel the impact of your work, you're going to probably do it again and again. And honestly, like, this is one of those, like, I feel every time I go down and we serve dinner and we make dinner, I mean, they're the most polite group of people saying thank you. You just see right away that your home cooked meal really made a difference in their life, not having to had that for a week or 2 or whatever that may be. So it really has, and then it just has gotten more engagement. It's now, everybody's like, when are we doing it? When are we doing it? And then obviously during COVID, we haven't been able to. And so it's really been like, you're missing such a piece of yourself when you don't get to do that anymore. And so we finally got to go do it 2 weeks ago again. And it's just kind of like what you were missing. You're like, oh, okay, I'm complete again. Right. I think that's been really one of our most successful, because your boots on the ground, you're right there with them, you're helping them out, and you see the immediate impact of it.
I love that. Can you just share a little bit more about what you do at the event? Are you preparing the meals and serving the meals? And is that what you're doing?
Yep. We prepare and serve it. So there's, certain restrictions, certain things like that we have to follow to, for health and safety. But most of the time it's just providing them, they get, scraps, or they get, they get snack bags of peanut butter and jelly, all those kind of things, which we had to do. Obviously, when with COVID, we couldn't go out and help, but it's that home cooked meal. I mean, you've never seen somebody love a salad more, just finally, like, some greens and some vegetables and something warm.
Right.
So like they love it. We've even brought out big grill and done hamburgers and hot dogs on site. And just that it's like, oh my God, it's fresh, it's warm, it's like right here. It's, for
Yeah.
them,
Right.
they haven't had that in a long time. And then we always bring it's a whole community of people. So we usually do the meal. Other people will come out and do medical tent. The city of Tempe comes out with a library, a mobile hotspot. So if somebody needs to check, their emails or find a way to get a hold of somebody or just text somebody, the library comes out and provides that, plus some free books they have on hand. So it's a big community thing. There's some people, with extra drinks or extra desserts or, people with clothing. And so there's just all these little stations throughout the park, and it just feels like a big community. And everybody, and even the homeless out there are like, this is my family. This is this is my home. This is who I live with and every day. And so it's just a great kind of a community bonding moment all around.
Love it. You can tell you're passionate about it, which is key, and it's great to see that. Now, just a quick question regarding that event. You help organize it with a nonprofit, and then some of these other, organizations that get involved. Do you help kind of coordinate that with the nonprofit that has a city out there or library and things like that? Is that all kind of just trying to bring the community, I guess, together to serve?
Yeah, most of the time it's just all done through the actual ARIS Foundation. They have a little volunteer coordinator that helps us. Yeah, so if one person, one area is short on volunteers, you can always count that there's going to be an extra 2 or here, that kind of thing. So with COVID, there's not we can't have as many people out there right now. So even that like Tuesday, everybody was doing a little bit more. You were helping serve, you were handing out this, you were kind of doing over there, but because we had to share duties and responsibilities and such. But most of the time there's always extra volunteers. Everybody's, they do such a good job of organizing and making sure that somebody's out there to meet all the needs. Even last 2 weeks ago, the mayor came out because he wanted to kind of hear about what, he wanted to hear from the homeless people themselves, like what needs to improve, how can we help fix this, and so to see the leadership out there walking around and actually asking questions and stuff like that, that the nonprofit was doing a good job, right? Like they're connecting the right people.
Yeah, that's excellent. And you said 2 weeks ago, you recently did this event again, but I guess during COVID, I bet it was nice to get those who wanted to go to engage. But so was the engagement just smaller? Is that what it was?
Yeah, when we got to go 2 weeks ago, it was just a smaller group. We just weren't allowed. We were only allowed to have 5 people come out and help. So getting people beforehand to pack cookies or getting people to donate, big thing for the homeless community is wipes, baby wipes. So like just getting people to donate that was their way to give back when they couldn't actually go out and be out there. So, and over the time, like before we were able to go back out, we would make snack bags. So everybody would make snack bags at home. I'd go to each doorstep and pick them up, and make sure they get out there and get delivered. So that way they can hand out and they go walking. Literally that organization, goes walking down by the riverbed and stuff like that to hand out the snack bags and make sure that they're trying to reach the people that really need the food.
Great. So. I love that story. Yeah. So I also found online, doing a little research, I believe you have offices in 8 states throughout the U.S. So do you have regional engagement in those, communities? And if so, how does a corporate office support these regional efforts, those regional offices?
We do many things, but one is we support whatever they're interested in, whatever they want to do. Again, it's, our big thing is employee focus. So if they have a charity that they want to get involved with, if they, we're there to support them. We'll help organize it. We'll contact the charity. We'll organize a day. We'll say how many people are, do you want to involve, that kind of thing. So we'll always do it that way. Or if they're like, we really want to give back, but we don't know where, we don't know how, that's kind of thing. So we have a couple of regions that will do that. And we'll do the research. We'll come up with like, okay, here's the top 3 that would fit with your, with how many people you have in your office, with, like proximity, all those kind of things. And their likes. We have certain offices that love animals, and over here we have certain people, who may have been affected by certain things that, have a draw to one kind of, nonprofit or another. So we just try to make the connections. So that way, when they do go out and volunteer, it's not that I force them to go volunteer or I picked it and I saying, you have to go, right? Like that's the worst thing that can happen, because then they'll leave going like, oh, okay, well, I did it, check, right?
Yeah.
And our goal is to make sure they want to go back and do it again and excited. So yeah, so we'll kind of, and sometimes we do multiple because they'll want us to plan one, but then they'll say like, that'll get them excited. And the next thing you know, they're like, okay, now we want to do this one. We want to do this walk over here or this thing over here. So it's really nice to see it grow that way. That at first, when I first came on 3.5 years ago, to reach out and be like, okay, what do you want to do? Here's some options. And now they're coming to me going, okay, here's all the things we want to do, And so it's really cool. And it's really cool to see that our leadership, at least one of our executives will be out at any event. And that's in another state. They will travel, they will fly, and to join that event because they find so much value and importance in it. So.
Yeah, that's great. But I think it also shows the commitment from the corporate office, right, to those regional branches, for the employees to be able to help put together a fantastic event in their region, to give back and have real corporate support by, having some of the team there on site. That's fantastic. Yeah. We touched on this, a little bit regarding your community engagement and how you do include some of the community, but is it common for you, like when you engage in wellness events or through a nonprofit in the community, is it common for you to invite friends and family to go and engage?
Yeah, most of the time, I'd say probably 85% of the time we invite others. It's rare. I mean, like we have a call center on site. And so sometimes that one is a team focused kind of in-house project, those kind of things. Right. But most of the time, if we're going out and we're going to be helping the community off site with a big project, we encourage. We encourage not only family, friends, we always try to make something sometimes that can have kids. That's always a harder demographic sometimes to work in. And that's why sometimes the wellness events, the walks, the hikes, those kind of things can work great because like they're all ages. We don't have to worry about a habitat build that you can, have to be 16 and up. So we've definitely tried to make sure that there's a variety so all ages can find their place at some point in the year, And then also we have business partners we work with all the time, everything from realtors to title agents to, even our past clients kind of thing that we're encouraged to come out and give back with us. Any way we can, encourage the community by just sending out a thing saying, this is where we're going to do. Do you want to join us? So. Yeah,
that's really fantastic. And I think that, for nonprofits and for event companies, they see the value in that with a corporate partner who's willing to not only engage, participate, but also share it, right? Share it with business partners, share it with, vendors, family, friends, right? To encourage them, inspire them to get involved, right? So I love that. And obviously you mentioned the mayor earlier, participating in that event where you were engaged in, and, that's excellent, community support, right? Yeah. That's great. And so I want to just touch on, COVID right now, and COVID has forced corporations to pivot a little bit. It's forced everybody to pivot, really, but including nonprofits and event companies. But corporations looking to continue to engage in the community, continue to support employee wellness initiatives. You've been forced to kind of pause, pivot, and really evaluate how you're going to be able to do this in a safe way, right? Safe for your employees, for the community, but also continue to find ways to give back. So earlier you touched a little bit about how you were, helping serve the homeless, and you recently did it, 2 weeks ago, during the pandemic. Can you share another example of, how you've had to pivot to give back virtually or however, during this pandemic?
Yeah, one of our big things we did early on when everything kind of first shut down is we also have employee giving campaign. Employee donations. So our employees will nominate and nominate a nonprofit, and our execs will vote on it and donate money to that organization. So instead of kind of running that for the month of April, we did what's called Pay It Forward. And we basically were said, nominate somebody who's, all those grocery workers, those delivery drivers, nurses and doctors, everybody who was just that April, like just bombarded and life was going crazy for them. It's like, nominate that somebody who's out there, doing great things. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to give them a gift card to a local restaurant who's also struggling right then, and may still be struggling, but like really wanted to say, like, we're going to help these two groups, finding something we could do to help both of them, and it was like, okay, reward them for all their hard work by supporting a local business. And so we called it our Pay It Forward campaign. And our big hope, as with most everything we do, is really to inspire others to do the same, right? Encourage it. And really, after we came up with it, one of our VPs was like, I like that so much, I want to do it personally to all my clients. And so he sent out an email and said, I'm going to be giving you guys all a gift card to a local restaurant to support. Thank you for being my clients, and just go out and support local. And so it was that kind of momentum and forward thinking that was really like what we were hoping to get out of it. And it was super successful. And I can see us even post pandemic doing something like that again. So
yeah, that's very creative. And that's, I guess, from these interviews with, industry leaders like yourself, corporate leaders, these companies that are highly engaged in the community, that's what we love to share, right? And it's being, having to be creative, right? Just getting creative. You were in the middle of a pandemic and you're trying to figure out, how do you continue to give, right? Not only that, but give in a very impactful way that really inspires others, right? And I love that story. I mean, there's so many things there, but it's absolutely fantastic that that you were able to find a way to still engage, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. Pay It Forward, is that what you called it?
Yeah, called it our Pay It Forward campaign. So
Pay It Forward campaign. Well, it sounds like it was a big success, and thank you for doing that. That's fantastic. So now you talk a little bit about donating and how you engage in the event. So do you also support employees with paid volunteer hours?
Yes, that was a big thing when I came on 3.5 years ago, was really making sure that there was that space and time, right? Everybody's swamped and busy and finding that time. And it's always an excuse, right? Like, oh, I would volunteer, I just don't have time. So how do you, when you say, okay, go ahead and take some time during your workday, we'll still pay you, go out there and volunteer. It's that important to us. And so we give every employee 2 hours a month to go and find the charity that they want to give back to, that and to take that time. And then they can also, I plan multiple events. So I'm always like, if you don't know a charity to give to, don't worry, I'm going to plan something, and you can, hop on and use that 2 hours, just making sure you're actually utilizing those, because it's such a great benefit.
Right. But I guess that also gives them, some flexibility, right? So they might have a creative way to, or a certain organization that they want to volunteer with that resonates closely to them, right? Or you providing some opportunities, some existing opportunities for them to quickly, engage in, so they don't have to do some research or whatever. And I'm sorry, did you mention the hours? Like, how many hours do they get?
2 hours a month.
That's great. Love that. So I guess a big question for your engagement in the community is, what are some of the most important factors when your organization is looking to partner with a charity and or healthy event like a walk and run? So what are some of those things that you really look at to that helps you decide who to partner with?
The number one thing I think is engagement of our employees. What will our employees get out of it, right? And that doesn't mean tchotchkes or monetary or any, like that. It's just, will they walk away with the need to do it again or do more, right? And so sometimes, we've all had some experiences where we walk into a volunteer site and it was just like miserable, and you walk away going like, wow, I don't ever want to do that again, and I never want to provide my employees with that experience. And I think that's where the partnership between us and the nonprofit have to work together to make sure that happens. and I would never say it's all on the nonprofit and it's not all on us. We come together and say what's going to be a success on both ends. And for us, that is our number one key, is, do they feel like they got something out of it? Do they feel like they gave back? Do they feel like it was a success? And success can look different to a lot of people, but as long as it's like that overarching success.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think that for people that really focus on that engagement, when you leave an event, or when you finish a campaign, and if your team leaves it just super excited, super happy, and they want to immediately set a date to do this again, you've won, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, because I think that for most of us, we've all been a part of maybe a campaign or an event where it was just okay, but it didn't have that really high engagement, or it didn't have the team saying, man, I wish we could do it next week, again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. It's critical. So it's really close cooperation between, the corporation and the nonprofit to develop that perfect, or try to be perfect campaign. Regarding the charities and the events, how do you determine these each year? And you touched a little bit about that, but does it vary year to year, like some of your charity partners or event partners, or do you support the same cause event more than one time, or do you also support, one year after year after year?
It's a mix of all of that. We have a few. So we host an annual fundraiser. Obviously not this year, but we do host an annual fundraiser, and usually all the funds raised at that will go to Habitat for Humanity. We just feel that's a big tie. We want to really support it. Plus, it's a great engagement volunteer-wise for our employees. So it really works well for us to support that one year over year. And then we do a couple hiking and wellness kind of things that are year over year. But really, outside of that, it varies month by month, year by year. Our execs vote on everything we donate to, and so from a money standpoint, they want to make sure that it's spread around, right? The wealth is spread. So they try not to focus the same event all the time, because they want to make sure that all of our regions are supported. They want to make sure that all of us feel like we got a say in the giving. And then with our events, like we do the Eris Foundation, we do that a lot and over because it's requested and people want it. So it's one of those things. If something is a success and people ask for it, well, heck, we might as well bring it back. And then sometimes some things are just one-offs, and that's fine too. They're exciting. We did a thing a couple of years ago for one of our branches. They wanted a team builder, and they desperately just wanted to build something, right? So one of the organizations, we put together cornhole boards and giant Jengas and stuff like that, and they had a blast. But that was like kind of a one-time need that the company had, right? They don't need multiple of those or a lot of those, so that one's a little bit harder to bring back. But they had enjoyed that one so much because it was exactly what they asked for. So I say we do a mix. And again, I can say it a million times, it's employee driven, really. Yeah,
love that. Now I want to shift gears a little bit because we've talked about community engagement quite a bit, and I'd really like to get into your employee wellness program, because I know that you have a very robust program. From what I found online, you've done some fantastic things, and so I want to jump into that a little bit. Can you share with us a little bit about what employee wellness means to people's mortgage?
Yes, it's really important to us, and I think it's one of the areas we even want to expand and focus on even more in the future as we continue to grow and stuff like that. But one of the things that we always look at it as is there's wellness in the way of physical, mental, and financial. So for us, we really, being a financial company who helps people get into homes, we find it super important to make sure that our employees are being fiscally and financially responsible, right? We do all employees have the benefit of what's called Smart Dollar. It's a Dave Ramsey program that helps them learn to save and budget and all those kind of things. Because our big thing is if we're helping everybody else get into a home, we want to make sure all of our employees have that same benefit and support. So we really, really encourage that. We've had it for a little over a year, and we just decided to continue it because it was such a success for that year, helping people that way. So
that's great. So it's the physical, mental, and financial, and that ties right into what you're doing as an organization, right? Your focus. So that works really well. Can you share with us, some employee wellness events you've engaged in, in the past?
Sure. So we do a lot. Like if our company or our employees get behind a certain cause, we've had some places where it's affecting the employee directly, and so they're having a walk or a run or something like that for them. So we definitely get behind that and encourage that. But one of our big ones that we've done many of years, took a couple-year break, and then again, employees' voices are heard when they're saying like, "Hey, wait a second, where'd that go? Why are we not doing that anymore?" Right? And so we're like, "I don't know, why aren't we? Let's do it. Let's bring it back." In our Phoenix area, we do what's called the 7 Summits Challenge, and it's basically trying to hike 7 mountains in basically a 12-hour period of time. And so, and they're, the travel time and all that, but it's just so much fun. So we brought it back last year, and it is still set to be planned for this year. We're crossing our fingers, and obviously it's an outside event, so we feel like we can definitely travel in small groups and make it, COVID friendly. I think we can still keep this one up, but really it was all about encouraging people to get healthy. We're like, you don't have to finish. We were giving out little awards for things that didn't mean you had to accomplish all 7, summits. You didn't have to, you just had to participate. You had to get out there. You had to want to hike. We had a couple people out there who had never hiked in their life, got out and at least did a mountain with us. Right. And so that's all we care. Like that was the goal, right? Just come out, join the team, get a free t-shirt, and everybody loves free t-shirts. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
But it was a great bonding. It was great. I mean, we at that last year, because we got a big bus and everybody climbed in and, went to spot, and then happy hour afterwards and all that. And so you just got closer to some of your employees. You realized, oh my gosh, I can go hike with that person on the weekend or things like that. And we even had one group of 3 ladies who wanted to, and they're still working on it. It's going to start their own little kind of nonprofit to encourage young girls to go out and hike with them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool that they're like, you know what, we realized the bond we created while we were practicing and why we were, doing all that. And to help young girls whose self-esteem is going through that period, with the same kind of camaraderie and hiking and physical exercise and healthy lifestyles, they're like, that's what we want to do. So.
Well, you're creating something great when you have employees that you've inspired them to go out and want to create a nonprofit, right? To give back. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a huge compliment to your efforts and the efforts of, the people that are at People's Mortgage that are really helping to develop these programs. And, that's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm just sharing that with you. We've done a lot of these interviews, but I've not heard something like that. So congratulations. You're doing something fantastic there. So and I guess with events, with your wellness program, is it still bottom up where your employees are really driving some of these things, or are you doing more work to be able to share with some of those opportunities, may look like, right? Or is it still being driven from employees?
I would say most of our wellness ones are. I mean, we definitely have the little pockets, and we have the little, our what I call cheerleaders, that sort of thing that really find one and then, really rally and get people behind it. And so you'll find little pockets of people doing their own little things. And again, that's what makes me happy. I don't want to have to plan everything. I don't, to watch them go out and find causes and find ways to do that on their own is amazing. And then once I hear about it, I'm like, guys, tell me about it. Let's advertise it. Let's get more people involved. Let's make this bigger, that sort of thing. So, and we do that in all regions, really. I mean, there's, I'll hear about a walk in Nebraska and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys want to do it? And they're like, yes. Yeah. Or they'll say, hey, we have this walk. Can we do it? So it's just a great, again, team collaboration, employee kind of driven success, really.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Now, when you're engaging in an event, event companies always got to take notice when there's corporate teams showing up, especially when there's 24 or more, right? And you all have the matching shirts and so on. And but one of the things that's going to come up from event companies is sponsorships, right? Engaging in an event, a community event, to support your health and wellness initiatives, and also maybe to give back to this, event company through corporate sponsorships. Is that something that you do and engage in? And if so, what does that look like, or what does that look like in the past?
So we do corporate sponsorships. It varies because of how we have stuff in every region. A lot of those people will bring stuff to us, right, and say, this is something that's happening in my region, that it's going to get seen by this many people. I think it's going to be a big thing for, I'm personally invested. It's going to do X, Y, and Z, and they give us the list and that sort of thing. And so we definitely take that into consideration. Again, we do monthly donation requests, and those kind of get some of the sponsorships get tied up into there as well, in the sense of like, okay, this is a nonprofit, and this is so a lot of the nonprofit sponsorships get into that pool, and then it goes again to our execs, and they determine what's a good fit for that month. Could it go a couple months out, that kind of thing. But again, the only way to get a request into the execs is through an employee. So that's always our in. Yeah. If you somebody, bring it to them and have them bring it to us. But yeah, we have our loan officer, we have a little over 200 loan officers, and they're all very much like independent business owners. It's kind of how we look at it. Yeah. And so they love to sponsor their own things. Sometimes but they always usually come to us and be like, okay, is this a good thing? Am I getting my money's worth? Is this a good idea, a good investment? Those kind of questions. And then some of them they just know that this is their demographic. This is the area. It's big in their area. It has a big draw, those kind of things. So many factors go into the corporate sponsorship. And there's so many different ways that we support it. But we definitely do it.
No, that's great. And I love the flexibility that you definitely, are taking these requests from the employees in these 8 regions, but at the same time, you're mixing in some recommendations, right? Some recommendations, or some opportunities, just in case, because having done this personally with a corporation, it's you might have a region where they just might need some additional help, right? Maybe it's that they're really, really busy in that region, and they just may need, some help with some ideas on how to, give back in the community or whatever. But so I love how it's a mixture there. Now, these sponsorships, have they included like walk, run events, or, something like that in the past, cycle events or anything like that?
Yeah, we've had, off the top of my head, I can remember we definitely did a walk in Nebraska. It was, near and dear to some employees' hearts out there. So we wanted to make sure to support that and get them involved. And again, they got, their community partners, their family members, all that involved in the walk. We have a gentleman here in our corporate office who does like triathlons and stuff like that. And he actually volunteers on the side to help disabled athletes train and stuff like that for triathlons. And so we found it important to support his cause and in training for those kind of events. So definitely, those are just 2 off the top of my head, but I know that we support so many more, because they're great. Again, they're great team effort kind of thing. So sure. That's what we love to look at, right? How is it going to engage the employees? And those kind of things are great for teams. So yeah.
So being a part of a sponsorship or engaging with events through a sponsorship, there's always a potential for marketing value there, right? It could be cause marketing or sponsorship marketing. How important is that when you're trying to decide whether to sponsor or not, the marketing value in a sponsorship?
I can't lie and say it's not there, that it's not important, but ultimately, it's usually employee engagement is usually number one. Again, sometimes regionally that can be different. That can change
Right.
based on on our loan officers, but most of the time it's employee engagement first, and then we look at what it can benefit, how it can, what are some of those deliverables that it's going to
Sure.
give us. But we really want our employees to have a good time, and so even if it, all the deliverables
Yeah.
are right, and it's something that our employees are like, no way would I ever go participate. Like, well, okay, why would we?
Yeah.
We want our employees
Right.
out. We want them to support. And we know that helps the nonprofit too. If there's a visual, if there's people there, if they're, so
Yeah.
we want to be a
Yeah.
good partner overall.
Love that. And without a doubt, it shows that you care, that you definitely care not only, about your employees and the mission of People's Mortgage Company, to give back to the community, but you also want to make it fair for the partners that, you're connecting with. So, I have one more question, last question, really. And I guess is there anything else that you can share with nonprofits or community social responsibility executives or event companies, regarding just engaging with corporate partners, or, some of these things that, you found that, provided success for your organization and how you engage in the community? Anything else that you can share?
I would just say to nonprofits and stuff like that, when they're going toward companies looking for support, find a way to inspire us, our employees. Sometimes I know it can be a challenge depending on what your nonprofit's about, but really, if you can find a way to inspire us, chances of us making that connection is going to be tenfold, right? So we want to be inspired, then we want to help inspire others. I just think that's the biggest thing for us. I know that hopefully it's big for all CSR people, but I know for People's Mortgage that if we can inspire others to do the same as we're doing, we've done our job.
That's great. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Just love to hear how you engage in the community, partner with nonprofits, and, to learn more about your wellness, program. And like I said, really, congratulations, because we've done quite a few of these interviews, and having worked in that field for, quite a long time, 14 years, it's impressive to hear that some of your employees have decided to go out and hopefully start a nonprofit to give back. I mean, that's just a huge compliment to, People's Mortgage Company and the great work your organization's doing, and that you're doing. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, and keep up the the great work, and hopefully we can connect on another phone call in the future, so you can kind of share us on what's been going on in 2020 and the later half of 2020.
We can only go up from here, right?
Right. Thanks again, Lyndsay.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.